Hi out there, everybody. Welcome to another edition of FaB GaB. And I'm so happy to have Matthew Street back on this program. Hello, Matt.
Oh, happy to be here, Joe. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, look, the idea was we both made videos. And excuse me, I got cough drops here because I got a bit of a throat.
Oh, yeah, I know what that's like.
Yeah. We both made videos after seeing Paul's performance on Saturday Night Live a couple of nights ago. And, we had honest thoughts, feelings about it that we wanted to say. In my case, I don't want to speak for Matt, but I kind of figured, it's going to be mixed. Or maybe, in my case, I think most people agreed, but not everybody's gonna feel the same way, and that's okay.
Right.
So I don't even know where to begin with this. Paul had played 3 dates days before, earlier in the week, at the Bowery Ballroom in New York. He did it on a Tuesday. He did one show. Then he did it on Wednesday, the second show. He skipped Thursday and rest, and then Friday he did the third show. But then he was going to be on Saturday Night Live Sunday evening, and way late it turned out. That's one thing. He had to wait all the way to the end of the show. An 82-year-old man, maybe still tired from the Bowery performances. I've heard nothing but good things. We talked to Tom and Andy. Well, Tom didn't go, but Andy of Two Legs, he went to show number 2. He had a great time of his life, and I'm so happy for him. Mm-hmm. And I talked to Tom Frangione on Talk More Talk. We did a show, and he saw show 3, and he thought he was very good too. Then all of a sudden, I'm getting pumped up, Matt. I'm all pumped up. I'm like, this is incredible. I felt Beatlemania everywhere, that great feeling. Yeah. When something's happening, right? And it's like, wow, it's 64, as close as you can get to 64 again. Paul's in town here. And then all of a sudden, it was a real bang. And I thought it went out with a whimper for me. The first time I saw live him doing Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight, and The End, performed on Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary special. Now I'm gonna get my 2.5 cents out of the way. When I watched it, like some people, I was disappointed the first time because it looked to me like Paul was kind of lost. There was no sense of joy on his face on the piano, or even later when he kind of got up to play guitar on the end. And I started thinking he might have known that he seemed to not be able to reach the notes so well. His voice was a little wobbly. And there's a lot we can talk about as we go on, and we will.
Right.
But I came away thinking it was a poor performance. And I watched it a couple of times after that. And we'll get into, as we talk, where I'm at right now, which is I have a little bit of a change of feeling, but generally I thought it was a poor performance. Matt, let's hear what your take on that part of it when you first saw it.
Well, going back to the 3 Bowery shows, I was like you when I was getting word from people that the Bowery show was great. He was rocking the house, and I'm sure he was. I thought, wow, he's had some good rests. He's got that home out in Long Island, and he hadn't his tour ended December, the last show with Ringo last December. That he's had a lot of rest. He's getting pumped up for the big Saturday Night Live show, so he's probably doing these 3 shows, truncated shows, to kind of warm up, to get in that vibe again. And wow, everyone's saying he did fantastic. So then I was highly anticipating Saturday Night Live as well, thinking, wow, he's probably going to pull a Glastonbury here. Remember Glastonbury, a couple of years ago or so, where he had a good night.
I agree.
When I say good night, relative to where he's been over the last 5 or 6 years or so, Glastonbury was pretty darn good. So I like you, when I first saw Saturday Night Live, it's almost like Paul's like a family member. You want to do well, like I've been a fan for so long, like you, Joe, since we were both little kids in the 60s, that I've always felt like I've been a cheerleader for the Beatles and for Paul and the solo Beatles. I've always felt like I've had to build them up. Like when a new single would come out, I'd forward it to all my friends and tell them, you got to hear this. You probably like that too. Oh, come on, this is good. Like a cheerleader for them. So it's almost like a family member. You want to do well. So when they're doing something and a lot of casual fans are watching, people that know you're a Beatles fanatic, like most of my family and friends know I am, that what are they going to think? I want them to be blown away. I want them to see the magic or experience the magic like we've experienced the magic. And when that first impression of him on that show came on, I didn't feel the magic. I was like, oh, Jesus, like, I'm going to hear it now. I'm going to get the calls later this week. Like, hey, what's happening with Paul? And I know we shouldn't care what other people think, but I wanted so bad for Paul to do good. You want them, the people you love musically, you want them to do well. You want them to kick ass. When you pay the money down and go to a show, you want to get there and they knock it out of the park. You want to see that. And I'm like you, when he first came out, the vocals caught me off guard. And so it soured it for me at first. Now we can go further. We'll go further here. There was so many aspects of that performance that I think were wonderful, great, and appropriate. But it was when I first heard the voice the first time, it kind of soured it for me at first. But we can talk further about how I've come to see the other good aspects of that performance and positive aspects of the moment of what that meant to be on that show Sunday night.
I wanted to get to this, and Robbie says Paul shook his head after the first verse. He realized his voice wasn't there right away. Now I've seen this so many times now, maybe half a dozen times. And I look for all these things now. I can see he looks displeased with himself. My girlfriend, who is a trained singer for 40 years, she was telling me all about she's been there. He's struggling trying to find it using his upper chest, which is never a good thing to do.
Oh, she could tell all this stuff. Yeah.
She's telling me all this technical stuff.
Right.
And what he's trying to do. And we watched this several times. And he just didn't look happy. He knew it wasn't, I thought, he knew it wasn't very good. I thought he seemed very tired. And, now this, like I was said earlier, this is 11:30. And my girlfriend tells me, and it's common sense anyway, it's not really good in any case to wait that long at the end of the show, just sitting around or whatever, and not performing. And Paul tends to get better as he goes. I think you work your way into it. He said he had no adrenaline. He's trying. I don't remember everything she said. I had notes and I forgot the notes when I came up here to do this.
No, I mean, she would know,
But she made a lot of sense, and she felt very sad for him, and so did I. Now, I went on and made my video, and when I came out, you said there's some good things. I didn't think the first couple of times, I didn't think there was anything really good about it. I thought he was lackluster, tired, exhausted, and okay, the man is 82. He's going to be 83 in June. And some people rightly pointed out there's some 82, 83-year-olds that can't even stand or walk. So this guy is amazing. We're not taking anything away from that.
Right.
So how are we going to nail all these points in the time that we have? I don't know. There's so many things I wanted to cover, and I had bullet points written down. I got to try to remember everything.
Oh, yeah. No, I get.
Well, because we're fans. We want them to do well.
Yeah, you want him to do well. Like I said, it's like you feel like the person, and when he makes a major appearance like that, you want it to go well. You want it to be impressive to others. As fans, I want that for him as a fan. And I guess I'll say it this way: is the voice startled me because I'm sorry. I just have to be honest. His voice was not good.
It was not good.
That performance. However, and I think you agree with me on this, there were so many other aspects of that moment Sunday night that were positive and good. Like, should Paul be invited to be at that Saturday Night Live 50th? Absolutely. That's a great thing.
I thought it was a great choice to play that medley.
Yeah. Should he have played the medley like that? You know, absolutely. That was a great choice and a great thing and a touching, sentimental moment to end that show with. And Paul was the only one and deserved to be the person doing that. Absolutely. Appearance-wise, the band, Paul, great. They look great. Paul's fit. He's trim. 82 years old. He's an inspiration to all of us. Look great. Music-wise, absolutely. Paul and the band, musically wise, were fantastic. When you look at that moment in its totality, it was a beautiful, sentimental, make you proud moment. Okay, everything was 99% of it was great. It was an awesome moment. But I'm just being honest when I say I love the moment. I thought Paul he's a legend. He's wonderful. Love the guy. I'll always be a fan. I'll always support him. I'll buy every record he puts out. And if he comes around to the Boston area again soon, I'll be there. I know what I'm getting with the voice, but I have to be honest. The voice is not what it was. And I don't think that's being mean to Paul. It's not being critical.
People can see that. Like this person here says, you know, that's why I have this on screen. So Paul and everyone knows it wasn't a good show. So what? Move on. Sorry. He's entitled to a bad night. See, that kind of thing. Well, I'm entitled to give you my opinion. And because I have a channel where I talk about Beatles and solo Beatles stuff, that's what I'm doing. You know, people say, well, who are you? Some people say, who the hell are you? But who am I? I had a Beatles channel for 13. I'm nobody big. I'm not a big star, but I have a Beatles channel on YouTube, and this is what I do.
Well, that's and you've been on a hell of a lot longer than I, but that's what I tell people. So that's what I do. I go on and give commentary about music, power pop, but mainly the Beatles. And if I want to make an observation, I'm not being mean-spirited to Paul. I never once said he sucked. I never once said he should retire. I never once said he was no good. I'm just giving my opinion that the moment is great when you see Paul. It's a wonderful total experience, but you need to have all the information, and just the information is that don't expect him to sing the way he did, because he doesn't. We understand that. He's 82, but I can't make that observation.
Well, that's it. That's it. You know, there are fans, I won't say who, but there are fans like, you know, they will not criticize him for nothing. And there's a lot of reputation like that with the Beatles. I get the whole thing where if you love somebody, don't criticize them, you know, but you got to try to be honest. Like you said, I mean, you know, people were saying to me in the comments, some things that they say a lot of times, well, you know, what kind of fan are you? You know, that's one of the typical things. Like, look. Where you missed all the times I praised him. Now, you mentioned Glastonbury from 2022, only 3 years ago. He was 80 years old. And I thought he was quite good at Glastonbury. I said, well, this is so good for him at 80 years old that I said, maybe this should be his last show. Go out on a high note. At the time I said that. I love him on the album McCartney's 3, you know, with his weathered voice. He knows how to write songs now for his limitations. Right. And I love the way he sounds on that album. Yeah. You know, old man voice quote, which a lot of people say, and all. I love the song Early Days from the album New, where he's got that old hoarse voice. It works so well for this song. I saw him, you know, in 2016, 2017, 2022 was the last time I saw him, and I think he was pretty good. You know, Matt, how many times I've come away from a show in recent years with him in his 70s and 80, and say, I can't believe it. The guy's still guy. He can do it. Yeah. Now, like you said, not He's not perfect. His voice is warbly.
Right.
He
Right.
can't reach the notes. It cracks. But fans get involved, as I got involved, and as I imagine a lot of the people did, God bless them, at the Bowery Ballroom. You're there. This is an icon. This is one of the Beatles. You love the
Right.
Beatles. Paul McCartney, you know, he's right in your face. He's there. You're breathing the same oxygen, the excitement.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it doesn't, who cares? Who cares how he sounds?
Yeah.
Even if he sounds a little off. There are times when I am perfectly willing and able, as I mostly do, to accept it. I don't want to hog all this, but I got so much to say. I don't want to forget.
No. Please do. Please jump in.
It's like there are times when I say, like a lot of people have said, you either take this journey or you don't. Sometimes I remember being 3 years old listening to, or 4 years old listening to my 45, but we can work it out. And when I was a little kid on my Mickey Mouse record player, this is the same guy. You know, and then later on in the solo years, buying his early solo albums and all, you know, Uncle Albert, With a Little Luck from London Town, all this stuff. And we're taking this journey with him. So there's a lot of times, folks, where, by the way, I use that word too, folks. We both do that.
Yeah, I know. I use that all the time.
and you know, I really know what you mean. For those of you who say, just accept it. This is Paul. You love Paul. Yes, I do that. I've told people the same thing. I'm willing to take that trip and say, this is, we've been around this journey since the 60s, the early 60s, you know, and up to the 70s, 80s, 21st century. Now, sometimes I'm willing to go along with him, and I'm willing to say, I accept this man for what it is, and I'm happy to be with him, that we still have him. Because people often say it in the comments, stop criticizing him. One day he won't be here. Cherish him. Well, you can. We do cherish him, Matt and I and everybody. We do cherish the man. And we know he's not going to be here forever. But after I said all that, if I thought he didn't give a good performance one time on Saturday Night Live, I'm going to say,
exactly.
I thought he wasn't good. I thought he was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And it's not even his fault necessarily. Tired, almost 83, the last act. I think things might have been going wrong. Some people suggested maybe there's something wrong with the audio. He kind of like looks, if you look close, he looks kind of like looking to the side. And Tom Frangione, who was on our Talk More Talk show, if you want to look at that, please watch Talk More Talk.
I want to check that out. Yeah.
And everybody, please check it out. He brought up a point that I didn't notice the first time. And then when I went back and watched it, I saw it. He was saying that he thinks that Paul was getting the words wrong the first time he went into Golden Slumbers. I don't fill your eyes or whatever. Whatever. I'm some Beatles fan, I am. You know, he sings, and I will sing a lullaby. And then he starts to say, boy, like you're going to carry that weight the first go round. So he goes, Golden Slumbers. And he starts
okay.
And I said, really? I didn't notice that. So I played it back several times. I could see him doing that. I think he was like going into, boy, you're going to carry that weight. Not yet.
Right,
Paul, the second time, you know. So what I'm trying to say here is I'm scrambling because this is the last thing I'll say before, you know, I shut up for a while.
No.
The thing is, believe it or not, 4 hours before this show, I watched it again for like my sixth time. And after giving it a rest, and this time it worked for me. I'm like, wait a minute. What did they do? Did they go up and did NBC or Paul or somebody tweak this? Somebody watch? No, his voice is still rough. And it's the same thing I saw 5 other times.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I was willing to accept it. Like I just said, for some reason, I was like, hey, you know what? It's Saturday Night Live. Paul's going to be 83 this year. He's there. He's doing the Beatles. Okay, he sounds like that. Yeah, it's a wonderful moment, period. That's where I'm at right now, although it took me a while to get there. I think at first, Matt, because I have the channel, I'm like analyzing critically. Yeah. This is what I think critically. It wasn't very good. Now that I got that all out of the way, I'm kind of like enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah.
Well, like it's still bad.
We talked about this a little bit before we came on, is that I thought everything about that, and I kind of listed all the different ways that was a beautiful moment for him to do that, to close out that show with those songs at that time. Everything was wonderful about it. Yes, I accept his voice for what it is. I know it's not going to change. But when I make a video on my channel and I praise him up and down, he's a legend. It's almost like I have to give a disclaimer. I have to post a disclaimer before I make a video. He's a legend. I love the guy. I've been a fan since I was a little kid. It's almost like you got to get people ready, because you know people aren't going to totally listen to what you're saying in your video, and you're going to get the haters saying, "What are you saying? He should retire. He's no good. You should try to do it at 82, you old bastard. Yeah, you're going to keel over. You'll be lucky if you make it to 82." Okay, I get all that. Okay, I get it. They don't listen to what you're saying. I love everything about Paul and his career and what he's doing. He's an inspiration to all of us to be 82 and be creating what he's creating, doing what he's doing, performing, recording. You took the words right out of my mouth. We're blessed to still have this man and Ringo in our lives, still making great music, still performing. It's fantastic. But I have to be honest in my video. I'm not going to get on there and say, yeah, there's all this wonderful stuff, a sentimental, Saturday Night Live, 50th, Paul closed the show. Oh, and he was great. Oh, he was unbelievable. You're going to love it. Because he wasn't 100% great vocally. He just was not. Now, do I put him down for that? No, I understand it. I accept it. I know what it is going into it, what I'm going to get.
We're not making fun of him.
I'm not making fun
of him.
Or
insulting him. We're just trying to.
I'm just noting something. Okay,
yeah.
The guy's voice has not been what it was. No one's is. I'm sure my voice has changed since I was 22, 32, 42. Now I'm in my 60s. My voice isn't the same. And as I get older and you get older, everything's going to change and get older. But not making fun of him. I'm just bringing up a point that I guess, as a fan who's loved this band and this guy since I was a little kid like you, it's almost like a melancholy sadness, almost like, the days are going by. When you see Paul and his voice is like that, it kind of breaks your heart a little bit. Not because you're making fun of him, not because you're putting him down. I want him to retire. I don't want him to retire. I want him to go on forever as long as he can. But it does break your heart a little bit, because you have that nostalgia in you. You want that joy of when you were younger, and there was Paul. He's always been there for us. He's always been there, with us and creating. And when you see that he can't create vocally like he used to, it does hurt a little bit, because we care so much about him and the music, It's
because you love him that you're concerned, I mean, I get all kinds of responses. I'm sure you on your video gotten responses too. I expected, it's fine. I expected the bad. I want everybody to give their honest opinions. Right. But some of the ones I got, and I had them all written down, and I wanted to talk about each one. One of them was like, for example, well, people love doing this. Like, what do you want? The man's 82. And I'm like, well, what I want is, this is when I was more harsh about it at first. I understand why. Look, explaining to me why he sounds like this. You don't have to. I know. He's 82. Another person said, okay, so if he sounds like this, bad like this, that's because he spent 60 plus years giving us all this great music. Yeah, I know. I don't take that away from him. Thank God he's given us all this. And I understand the whole thing about, he's 82, but it's not a get out of jail free card. And what I mean by that is, maybe you don't go on.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I know why he sounds like this. He's been singing for 60 something years. He can't sing very well live as much as he used to.
Right.
And usually on television, and that's something we should point out, people made the point, and rightly so, television is different. It's unforgiving, as people say. You can get away with it a little more in concert with the ambiance, the crowd, the rest of the band, the force of it all around you. Yeah. Concert is different. So I get it. I get all that. But these things that people say, like, well, he's, just the fact that he's 82, explaining why he sounds like this, I get it. But if you sound like that, what are you supposed to do? perform. An example might be like, I don't know. I'll do a crazy example. Somebody goes out, somebody like cuts their throat, they survive, and I don't know, puts a bullet in their throat, and then they're trying to sing and they can't really sing well. So, well, you got to understand, the man had something happen to his throat. He had trauma to his throat. This man
right.
had his throat cut. Maybe not go on,
Right.
But now again, I'm backtracking, and I know a lot of people are going to be going, "The hell with this guy?" Because now, and I do this, folks. Whoever watched my channel a lot, I flip flop. Sometimes I have a different view. I see life as shadings and grays a lot.
Right.
Not all black and white. Now I'm like, something? I'm back to that mode, like I told you. I'm back to that mode where I'm watching it the last couple of times, and I'm like, you know what? I accept it. I'm not happy with it, but I accept it. It's Paul with us now doing it. It wasn't good, but I kind of accept it's Paul now.
You're speaking for me. I like that word, accepting it. I'm with you. Did it make me sad to see that? Yes, but I do accept it. The last time I saw Paul with one of my sons, he wasn't the best. He was like 50-50. On some of the songs, he killed it. And on some of the songs, he struggled a little bit. And I remember leaving the show and just be like, oh, geez, I hope my son liked it. It was the first time he saw him. Oh, geez, because he knows what a fan his dad is and all that stuff. And he came out of it, he said, Dad, he says, he was pretty good. He says, yeah, there were a couple of songs where he struggled with some of the notes, and he named the songs. One was Maybe I'm Amazed, and there was one or two other songs. He said, yeah, he had a little trouble on a couple of those cuts there. He says, but overall, he says, he surprised me. He did pretty good. And I said, really? You thought he did good? He said, yeah, it wasn't bad. He said he did pretty good. And I was like, oh, good. You liked it, because I knew Paul's limit. I know Paul's limitations, and I was very pleased to see that even with the deterioration of his singing over the years, up until only a few years ago, one of my kids walked away from a show and said, you know what? That was pretty damn good. He enjoyed it. So I'm saying I think it's just we're bringing up that his voice has difficulty, but I like the word you used, accepting it. We accept it is what it is, and as long as you go into this environment accepting what it is, you're going to have a great time. It's worth going to see him as long as you understand what you're getting.
Well, what Tim Allen's, and you said that in your video, and I agree with you. I mean, that's right. If you're invested, you realize what you're getting, and you don't expect him to be the old. Well, I get it. It sounds almost like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm trying to balance it, right? Because that doesn't mean that I can't see Paul's performance right out of the gate, like 2 nights ago, and say, "Oh my God." Cringe, because that's how I felt at first. After it works for me a lot better. I'm not trying. I believe if you know me long enough, anybody who knows me, I'm not trying to rationalize anything. Like no way am I. I'll give you a good example. No way am I going to rationalize, like Tim's saying here, that old Darling performance. That was horrible. I thought it was. I said it at the time, and a lot of people are saying, you know what, Saturday Night Live 50th here wasn't as cringy as 10 years ago for the 40th when Paul screwed up Maybe I'm Amazed.
Right.
You see that one? That was worse.
That was bad as also, but it was also a great event. It was great he was invited to be part of that 40th. He should have been.
Absolutely. And it's great that he was. I just got the feeling, that again, it was like, the man's, look, he's almost 83. When he does this in the concert, time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Hey, look, maybe he goes to bed early. He's an older man. The concerts that were at the Bowery Ballroom was 6:30. They were earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, now the poor guy's waiting around all day, all night, and to go in cold with one, like, do it. You're on the air. Do it.
Yeah.
It's different. I think I get all that, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, but you can't just say, well, that makes it good. That makes the performance good.
Yeah.
Because you take all these. No, it turned out it wasn't too good. Now that you may say that's subjective. I don't know if anybody could honestly say it was a good performance for Paul that night. It was one of his off nights. Everybody has one now and then.
Yeah.
Well, just say it for God's sake.
It was a wonderful, the moment, the emotion of that moment on Sunday night, fantastic. It was just one of those moments that he was meant to be there at that time and do that and sing that medley. Absolutely. But I'm not going to gloss it over and say, well, and wow, he sang really good. No, he didn't sing that great.
No, he didn't sing good. That good.
But no. The acceptance word again. But I accept that that's what it is. It is what it is.
Well, that's what this person's saying here. That's how Paul, Living Beatles, sounds now. You can put on an album to hear what he used to sound like. I love the moment, and that's where I think I'm at right now. Yeah. The last couple of times I watched it, only 4 hours ago before we went on here, I said, "Oh, geez, how am I going to do the show tonight?" Now all of a sudden, I'm having a change of view of it when I was coming here ready to. Yeah. But that's what it is. As fans, we know what Paul's like. We've watched him for decades. We've seen concerts, TV shows all over the world. We have videos, and we know when he's off. And he looked disappointed. He looked like he wasn't pleased with this. He looked like he knew this wasn't so good. But he looked tired to me. I heard some people say he looked distant.
Well, he is 82.
And even standing on the stage at the end with the goodbyes, with the whole stage, with the cast and everything, he still looked a little like lost. I don't know why. He's in great shape. He's definitely takes care of himself, and he's one of the healthiest looking 82-year-olds I've ever seen. But the bottom line is he can't fool nature. He's 82. But here's the thing, Matt. Like we said, the thing that as soon as we say that, but there's other times when he's 82 or 80 or 81 recent, and it's good. Like I believe everybody that said who went to that Bowery ballroom and said he was fantastic. I believe it. He might have had more energy that earlier in the day. Yeah. He was more present and focused more. He wasn't bothered. Like he seemed a little bothered with this. And this here, well, hold on. This is people have said this too, and that's part of it too. His voice wasn't warmed up in the beginning. That's all. I think that's a pretty good point, and people have said it. Yeah. People have said it in my comments. I know there was a rehearsal. Because there's a little footage of it going out, but it's so short you can't really hear. It's like 15 seconds, 10 seconds. But that could have been hours ago. That could have been 6 o'clock. Instead of 11:30. So I feel like we're all over the place, but as I thought it might go, because there's so much that I wanted to get to.
Right. It's all relative. My dad, who passed away a year ago next month, he was 93 years old and lived with my wife and I. And wow, 93, he was in great shape for his age, but it's all relative because my dad took care of himself just about to the end. He was mobile till the end, and people would look at him and say, wow, your dad's in great shape. 93, he's sharp as a tack. He's this, he's that. But it's all relative because my dad wasn't going to run any marathons at 93. He used to love to work in the yard. It made him sad that he couldn't come out and do yard work and cut trees like he used to, or do this. What I'm saying is everything's relative with age. For 93, my dad was in great shape, but he had many limitations. Paul, 82, as an entertainer, a singer, musician, great shape. He's fantastic, but he has limitations now. That's all. He has limitations.
Well, this thing too. See, this is what I mean. Now, well, Frank, you must have missed a lot of the conversation because we kind of covered this a little bit. That's what I mean. That's no excuse just to say it is an excuse, but it isn't. He's old. What do you expect? Well, I expect if you don't have it that night or whatever, don't go on. Or if you're Frankie Valli right now, I love Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. You've seen Frankie Valli right now. Stay home. To just say about Frankie Valli right now. Oh well, the guy he's 90 or whatever he is. Frankie Valli's 90. Bless him.
Oh yeah.
Stay home. I'm saying stay home. But they're saying he's 90. What do you expect? I expect you don't perform anymore or walk around like.
Or it could be the other thing. I don't expect anything. I had people on my channel make that comment a lot. What do you expect? He's 82. Who said I expect anything? I don't expect anything. I don't expect him to come out and sing like Pavarotti when Pavarotti was 32 years old. Of course not. I know, I understand what's going on here. You know, I don't expect anything from him. I'm just making an observation. All right. It hurts me a little bit, maybe because it makes me feel that I'm getting older. I was that little kid who loved him back in the 60s, and now I'm an old man.
Yeah, that's maybe that's something.
Time catching up with all of us. I'm just making an observation.
Excuse me, Vinyl Piper. I saw that clip somewhere. I know you tried to post it. I'm not gonna. I'm nothing personal, but I'm not gonna put the link up if that's okay. It's not anything personal, but yeah, I saw that and it made you stop. Yeah, yeah. So it was the rehearsal. I understand now. The rehearsal was earlier. It wasn't even the same day. So I get it all. I'm just saying it's not a matter of blaming anybody or making fun of anybody. It's a matter of just calling it like it is. You know, you have Matt and I have these Beatles related, music related channels. We talk about new things like this. Well, what did you think? As a guy who's been following the Beatles 60 something years or what did you think? Well, I thought, it wasn't one of his best things. No, neither did I. What did you think? This is what we're here to do. We're no better than anybody else, but we give our opinions. That's what we're here to do. Here we go. This is another one I like. You see, this is the other thing too. People say, thank you for reminding me, Frank, because I forgot my notes from home. But when people say, look, he has the right, he doesn't have to retire unless he wants to. He has a right to perform. He doesn't have to retire. If Paul makes that decision. It's his decision. And you know what? I accept that. But then I always counter with, it's my opinion, my opinion to say what I feel. If you're going to say, you know what, I'm 93 years old and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to keep doing it on crutches and I'm going to play the guitar on the crutch with one hand and the guitar with the other, or I'm going to be in a wheelchair, whatever it is, you have every right to do that. But I have every right to give my opinion of what it sounds like.
Right.
You see, that's what I mean. It's like people think, well, he can do whatever he wants, and you have no right to even have an opinion on how it sounds.
He can do what he wants forever. I am not calling for him to retire. I hope he keeps going till the day he drops. I keep going.
There it is.
But yeah, well, keep rocking.
My girlfriend thinks he's going to die on stage, and I say, God forbid. I don't want that to ever happen.
Oh, God forbid. Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a positive way. She says that he's going to, no, Paul's been performing since a teenager, a kid. He loves it. He loves the adulation. He loves the attention. He loves making people happy. He loves playing.
I was telling you before we started going live, is if he comes around again to the Boston area in the next year or so, I'm going to go. Hell yeah, I'm going to go. I know what I'm getting vocal wise from him, but I want to be in the atmosphere. I want to be in the moment again one last time before it's too late. I want to go see him again, even though I've seen him like 14, 15 times. I still want to go again. I got a little thing here. I got a buzz here from my nephew. It says video with all of the Bowery excitement and the story and attendee on night 2. I don't know. I can't read it all. You get part of the message to you on the top. Oh,
yeah. So yeah, there's so much to say. You know what, Matt? I think that of course there's so much stuff here that I have not. I'm sorry to everybody that wasn't able to get to it all. We have a lot of people watching.
How many you got watching? I can't.
139 at the moment.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
And I appreciate everybody tuning in here. But you see, I want to get to some of the. I know there's a lot of trolls in it, but that's go ahead. I can't get them because there's so many people here. Where's Michael Nolan? I didn't see his video.
Michael did a great video. I just
saw it in his comment, and I can't find it now.
Yeah, Michael. He did a great video. He's basically, from what I recall, he was basically reiterating a lot of the points you've brought up in your video, some of the points I brought up in my video. Michael's a musician, I believe, from what I understand. And so he's a little more technically savvy than I am about musicianship and singing and whatnot. And he brought up more issues with Paul's guitar playing, and talked a little bit more about the technical issues with his voice. And he brought up some good points, and it's hard for me, Joe. It really is, because I am not here to criticize Paul. I want people to understand that, because 90% of the people who saw my video and commented, they understood where I was coming from. They understand that I'm a fan of this man. Oh, here's Michael. Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean I'm trying to cram it all in.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that his Bowery shows are good. The fact that no cameras or recording devices isn't a good sign. Well, in all fairness, I wasn't there. You weren't there. But that, I heard from Andy that the camera crew and everybody were around, and Tom Frangione on the third night said that they weren't like professional. Nothing was in the top cameras like in the professional way. There was people with cameras on there, but not, I don't know what you call it. I'm not trying to remember what he said.
Yeah.
Aim to record the show from the back, the front. I don't know hopefully something's going to come of it. But when people went to the Bowery show, any of the shows, and said they had a great time, I believe them. And I know I would have had a great time.
Absolutely.
I had one bonehead out there that said, the reason you made this video is because you didn't get to see him at the Bowery. You're jealous. Please, come on. I've been talking about this since, what's the one that he had, the Olympics? The Queen's Jubilee, maybe. Queen's Jubilee?
Right.
So,
yeah.
I've been talking about this pro Paul, con Paul when it comes to his performances long before the Bowery things. Come on, guys. But I do think some of the people, when you're actually there, and I don't blame them, could be awestruck. And you're still awestruck. You're still amazed.
The Bowery shows, I'm sure being there, I once saw Paul. I was in the second row, many years ago, and it was just a life-altering moment to be that close to him. I can't even imagine the folks that saw him at the Bowery, what an experience that must have been. I'm sure it was a wonderful experience. But I did hear an online recording, and people could say, well, it was probably a phone in someone's pocket. It wasn't the best audio quality. But there is some audio on YouTube.
I've heard the audio. And
you know what? If you really get down to it, it sounds like Paul now. Is it terrible? Did I hate it? Was I ready to throw up? No. But I'm not going to say to you, oh, my God, I heard the Bowery tapes. He sounded great. Oh, he sounded wonderful. He sounded like Paul now.
Now, I mean, the argument that I've heard is, well, you can't go by a recording on a phone. You got to have been there. Look, all right. Well, look, how many people have been there, on the whole planet Earth, right? Not many at that privilege.
Right.
So we won't know for sure what it was like to actually be there. But I do think that sometimes that can influence you a little bit. I mean, what I've heard, the audio from one of the Bowery shows, night 2, it's a little rough, but I can hear Paul, and he sounds like you said. He sounds like Paul now.
Right.
I would say the parts I heard, I didn't hear every song. I heard about 4 songs. I would say, from what I heard on the phone, on a clips of it, I would say it's better than what he did on Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But there you go. Right there's what I'm saying. When it's good, I'll tell you. When I think it's bad, I'll tell you. And what's wrong with that? When you're a person that thinks everything's good all the time, somebody can do no wrong. You're not being true to yourself. You're not being true to anybody else. When you're a person that says everything's bad all the time, oh, the guy sucks. Oh, this is bad. That's awful. Everything's just automatically awful. You're trying to prove something. I don't take you seriously either.
No.
The truth is somewhere in the middle. You're not going to lose your membership card as a Beatles fan.
There's 2 extremes. I don't like the people that get overly negative, like they just hate everything that Beatles or what Paul or Solo hate. Everything sucks. Everything's. I hate that extreme, but I hate the other extreme. The people that are kind of like everything's wonderful, everything's rainbows and roses, and there's no bad, and there's no. You got to be somewhere in the middle. The bell curve, folks. It's somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean?
That's what I say.
Love the Beatles. We can love the solo Beatles. We can love Paul, but we can also be critical thinkers and say, you know what? I like that album by Paul. That's a good one. You may hate it, but the one you like, I really don't like it. We all have different opinions. No one's right or wrong.
Well, I was going to say that. I was going to wait for you to finish and bring that up, and you just said it, just led into it.
Yeah.
I always say what you said. An opinion is simply that, an opinion. It's not a fact and opinion are two different things, right? However, I'm willing to say almost, here we go, this is a big statement. It's a fact that his voice wasn't good on Saturday Night Live. That's a big statement. That's a bold statement for me. Now there's people who say, you know what, he wasn't good. You know what? I don't care. I loved it. I accept him because what he is, he's Paul freaking McCartney, and I don't care how he sounded.
Right.
That I respect. But if you're going to say, oh, he sounded great. He was great on Saturday Night Live. Oh, he's great. Come on. I mean, it's a matter of opinion, but is it really an opinion in this case? What do you think?
Yeah, like I said, there's so many aspects that were great about it, but the vocal was not great. We're just being honest about it. That doesn't mean we like him any less or don't think the moment was a beautiful moment. It was, but he didn't sing well. That's all. No harm, no foul.
Well, Paul did not seem to me happy at all with that performance. He didn't. There's always a joy or a look of sparkle. He didn't look like he realized it was a poor performance, whatever it was, whether he got distracted, whether it was something with the equipment, the musicians, the sound, whatever it was, or his own voice. My girlfriend who's this singer, trained singer, was for 40 years, is telling me all the things she could see him trying to struggle with to recover and to try to do different sources and breathing. He was trying these different things to try to do it. And he was having a hard time, and she realized, and I agree with her that, he's sitting there all these hours, he's 82 or 3, which only exacerbates the problem. She said it'd be tough for any singer under those circumstances, but exacerbated by being as elderly as he is. This is very much us all over the place, but
I'm glad we did it though, because it gives me the ability to express my feelings about. I want people to know that hey, I'm with all of you, and Joe certainly, that are fans of Paul and his music. I'm right there with you. I'm a fan. We were talking before we came on about music we've listened to. Just the other day I drive for my job, and I have the ability to listen to a lot of streaming music, and I listened to the entire McCartney 3 the other day. I went from start to finish.
I love that album. I don't care. I love it.
I enjoy it too. Is his voice as good on that album as it was on Ram? Hell no.
No, it's not.
Who cares?
But here's the thing. That's what I was saying earlier, though. Paul seems to be able to write songs now that are in his register that fit his old voice. Yeah. But when you're going around, when you're trying to sing old Beatles songs in your 20s, stuff like, whatever it is now.
I like McCartney 3. I don't think it's his greatest album. I wouldn't put it in his top 3, but I enjoy the album. I listened to it. I think there's only one song I skipped, Deep Down. That's the only one I kind of skipped.
Oh, that's my least favorite. That's my least favorite track. But the thing is, I love this song, Women and Wives.
I like that song.
His voice, you want to talk about an old, warbly sounding voice, it's on the song. Listen to the song, Women and Wives, if you don't know it.
Yeah.
And I love that song, and I love it more because his voice is weathered, because his voice is rough and older and wizened.
Well, I think you mentioned before we came on, early days, the voice fits.
Yeah, early days.
Well.
Both songs are good examples. Early days, same thing, Matt. Early days and Women and Wives. Yeah. Both of those songs should be sung by an old man who is looking back on things. Well, that's the case of early days. He's an older man looking back on the early days. So I wouldn't want to hear a 21-year-old Paul singing that. It wouldn't fit. Same thing with Women and Wives. He sings that song like he's a preacher.
Yeah.
Hear me, women and wives. He's singing it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it fits his voice. So I'm trying to show you I relate. I'm being fair.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, there's a lot of his recent albums that I totally enjoy, and even though his voice is nothing like it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. I was trying to think, if you had to guess, I go back to somewhere around 07 when he was around 65, when I started to notice a change, because I thought he sang great on Memory Almost Full.
Right.
Even though the aging was starting at age 65, I thought he did a bang-up job on Memory Almost Full.
I agree. Well, the recording studio too. You can. I mean, I'm not a big fan of auto tune and tricks and playing games, but you could at least control more in the studio. I don't know. I think Chaos and Creation, I noticed a little something, and then I liked Memory Almost Full a lot.
Yes. And
Electric Arguments, and I seem to think it started in the 2010s, really, when it really became a problem.
Okay.
I think. My opinion.
I've never been a fan of Kisses on the Bottom. That one just maybe was
his voice. By then, his voice was suffering there a little too.
Yeah, and the style of music just isn't completely my thing. But then he knew when his voice was definitely having some changes. I like that album. I think that's a fantastic album. Now,
this person had said, not sure why you guys need to beat around the bush. Paul's vocals have been subpar for years. Well, I've said that. I've said that. We're saying that now. I saw him in New York in '89. It was just okay. That was the first time I saw Paul. And I remember thinking at Madison Square Garden, he was 47 then. I remember thinking, he could sound a little better, But I heard in later times that he was ill or he had a cold or something. I don't know if that's true or not with that.
That was a tour from hell too, because when that live album, Tripping the Live Fantastic, came out, I thought he sounded a little, not bad, but I just thought he sounded a little
I didn't think it was
rough sounding on that. And I think that tour was just grueling. He was doing night after night after night without any breaks. And I just think by the time you get near the end of that tour, he was just shot from overheating.
It's hard to believe that. Like the Campuchia concert, when I saw clips for the first time in '79.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
I remember this will give people some laughs. And I was right there. I was 17 then. And I remember thinking his voice was going. I'm going to cough now.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right.
I remember there was a Beatles radio show I used to listen to, a college radio station. And I remember a guy about my age, teenage guy, calling in saying, "Man," he goes, "Did you hear McCartney's? Man's losing his voice." And talking about the Campuchia concert and saying, if those Beatles, they're going to have a reunion, they better get together and do it fast before McCartney's voice gets like this. He's saying this was a call-in radio show. And this other fan was calling into the DJ and saying, "Man, his voice is going to get like this." But this is 79.
Yeah.
1979.
The man was only 37 then.
So who knows? People have been saying this for years, but
I don't know. I like I said, I saw him. I saw him in 2005 in Boston. 20 years. Wow, I can't believe it's 20 years. I've seen him since then, but I remember he worrying about him when I was before the show started. Like, oh my God, Paul, he's 63 now. He starts the show and he was nailing it. And then he gets to Maybe I'm Amazed, again, 2005. And Joe, it was the best Maybe I'm Amazed I ever heard him sing. 2005 Boston at the old Fleet Center. Now it's called the TD Garden.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was nervous when I knew he was starting Maybe I'm Amazed on the piano, and I was very close in the crowd, and I got nervous. Oh shit, he's going to do oh shit, how's he going to get through this? Paul, was Joe, was the best version of Maybe I'm Amazed I've ever heard before then or since 2005 Boston. He nailed it.
I saw him in 2005 at Madison Square Garden, and I remember, can't believe it's 20 years ago, and I came out blown away. And even at that time, there was some concern. I wonder, and I'm like, this guy's amazing. And 20 years ago, I said, this guy can go on and on. And I remember saying that in 2016. I did a video where I was sitting with Marv, and Marv and I were sitting. I said, Marv, I said, it's amazing. Just when I think his voice is kind of shot, which it is.
He surprises you. Yeah.
He shocks me. I'm like, he could do it. I could go on again and again. And I'm saying that's like, 9 years ago. And I'm like saying, I just don't know. I'm not backing off on this. I thought it was a poor performance on Saturday Night Live. It's one performance. I believe that he was, if the people say he was good at the Bowery shows, I believe it, because he's a fan, they're not just convincing themselves.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't know. I believe if you were at that Bowery show, it must have been a life-altering experience to be in such a small venue, to see such a large legend in front of you within a matter of feet. I totally get it. I'm sure it was absolutely amazing. But let's bring it all down to the vocal. Was the vocal absolutely amazing?
Well, that's the point.
I say no. I'm sure it was not.
And I say no also. But I know we weren't there. I know in a way. How can I say? But I heard the tape. I heard the recording. Well,
82-year-old Paul, it was not amazing. The vocal was. Now start growing out from there. Was the whole experience of seeing Paul there amazing? Yes, absolutely.
I'm sure that is a life-altering experience that people will never forget. And I would have liked to have been there. No problem with that. But
memory almost full. Yeah, I consider that a masterpiece too much.
Yeah, I really like. And you know what song I love? You want to talk about his voice, which is amazing. There's a song on there called "House of Wax."
Oh yeah.
And this is 2007, and what he does with his voice in that song is amazing. Yeah. Was he 60, 65? How was he? I can't do the math.
65 then. Yeah, he was turning.
He's 65 now. All right, 65 and 83 almost. A little different. But I'm saying, I call it as I hear it. When I think it's good, I say that, man, thumbs up. When I think you had a bad night, that's what I do. Why can't fans do that? Why aren't they willing to do that? Are they afraid? Do they think they got to give up their Beatles membership card or Paul McCartney membership? I mean, what do they think? You can say it. You love the guy.
Exactly. But we have to. I just have to be up front and say I love the guy, and I'm going to go see him again. I'm going to buy his next album, God willing. He comes out with something, but.
He's supposed to be, and he's supposed to be coming out with an album. I don't know why. We don't know when it's going to be this year. I'm guessing, just totally out of left field, it's going to be later, near the end of the year, because there's no buzz about it yet. There's like so many things I could cover, and like I said, I understand if you have to go, Matt, by all means, just bow out. But
I got a few more minutes. Like I said, I got to get up early tomorrow. But I just someone says Egypt Station was an amazing. Egypt Station. We won't go there because we'll be 15 minutes talking about that. But
I'm not a big fan of the album.
No, I'm not either, as it is. But I think Egypt Station, if you take 4 or 5 of those bonus cuts that were on like the Explorers edition and that single of Hurry Up and the other song on that single with there's like 4 or 5 songs that if you put those on Egypt Station, took 3 or 4 off the regular album, Egypt Station could be a really great album for me. But
I'm sorry. I think Beatley Tone said something before this too. I'm going to backtrack see if I can get some comments.
Sure.
Saying Paul needs to stop, needs to give their head a little wobble. Hey, and by the way, there are times when I have said, Paul, it's time to stop performing live. Yeah. I've said that at times. Then other times I'm like, son of a bitch, the guy surprised me again. I'm way to go, Mac. And that's the only way as truthful as I could be. But there's times where I have said, I think the guy not stop recording, but live performances. I've been like that.
Yeah.
I admit it. Let me just see. Well, this isn't what we're saying. Yeah, his voice is not the same. If you're going to see him, go there for just who he is. People do that. People see somebody mentioned Brian Wilson. The poor guy. I mean, they stand him up, they prop him up, and he's sitting there.
Yeah.
You want to see him.
I agree with James. As long as you know what you're getting, as long as you have all the information before you go, then go. You're going to have a great time, a great experience. Like I said, I went with my son a few years ago thinking, oh, shoot, is he going to criticize Paul? Is he going to be cut? And he came out of the show happy as a clam. Like, wow, that was great, Dad, seeing Paul. Yeah, he struggled at a couple of songs, but wow, he was pretty damn good. And I was like, oh, good. I'm glad you liked it.
Even these things when he's been with Ringo, a couple of times he's done Helter Skelter or something. There's times when I thought he did Helter Skelter better than others in recent times.
Yeah.
I'm amazed sometimes by how he's able to handle Helter Skelter.
Yeah, me too.
So there was a time not too long ago where I thought he handled the hard rockers better. When he was singing Helter Skelter, when he was singing High, 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 when he was doing songs like this. When he was singing like songs like that, he was able to do it better than the ballads. That was a little while ago. Now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think it's gotten to a point now that Paul he has good and bad moments, and he struggles on all types of songs nowadays. But you're right. There was a time where he really could belt out the rockers a little better than those slow, tender ballads, especially when you're in a large stadium. And he's I saw him at Fenway one time, and yeah, when it just the loudness, the big amplification, everything, it hides a lot of sins. And but when he gets up there with just that acoustic guitar and he's doing Blackbird or Here Today.
Yeah, man. Blackbird. I remember him doing Blackbird. I think it was at the Grand Central Station concert, and it was cringy. It was cringy. You know, I don't want to imitate him. Let's make fun of him. But I'm saying, to give you an idea, Blackbird fly. He's trying to like reach that. It's like,
right.
You know, come on, man. It's sad, you know. But yet again, other times I've heard him do it in recent times, and it's better.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, there's good and bad moments. Yeah.
Paul, Beatles Tone, I'm sorry. I hope you're still here, because he had said Paul needs 2 or 3 songs that get his larynx going at all gigs. I believe, yes. Yeah. There were lessons to be learned from the Olympics and Jubilee gigs, right? I mentioned those. Yeah. Having said that, I think this was a tough gig to get motivated for.
Yeah, not being a singer, I have no idea. But
yeah,
and to me that maybe he did have a tough time the other night.
A lot of people have said that and pointed that out to me. Even Tom Frangione again, and we talked, said, you know, when he on the third show, he opened with A Hard Day's Night at the Bowery, and with A Hard Day's Night, he had the drummer Abe, I think it was, singing right with him. Like it was his first song, and to break in. To get broken in, he had them going together to sing with him. So I do think that's the case. You got to warm up, get into it, loosen you.
Did they all the folks you spoke with on the show? Did they think he should have done the Bowery? I thought the Bowery, not being a singer, I thought he did those to get back in the groove and warm up before Sunday. Is that
that's what I've heard, but I don't think there's anything to do with it.
Or should he have remained rested until Sunday? And then I don't know. You know, I'm no singer, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look,
okay, yeah, wink.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, should he have rested, killed it for Saturday Night Live, and then this week do the Bowery shows?
Well, hopefully he would have been able to arrange it so he could do both. Because I hate to have lost the 3 Bowery shows just because he's doing Saturday Night Live.
Right.
To lose those 3 gigs, don't do them because you're going to be doing Saturday Night Live. I would rather him skip Saturday Night Live, actually.
Right.
Does anyone really want to see older Paul who can barely sing just to be there? I hope not. Well, some people do, man. Some people see it. Frankie Valli. You see that the man lip syncs and not well. I mean, you can see the videos. They're all over the place. It's not like he's lip syncing like a professional young guy. Professional is the wrong word.
I say to that gentleman who just made that comment is absolutely. I mean, I know people who they weren't able to see Paul during his heyday because of their age or whatever. They were younger then. They weren't even around during 89, 93, 2002, whatever. So now the last 10 years has been the only opportunity they've had to see a legend like Paul McCartney, a member of the Beatles, live. I say go, as long as you know what you're getting and that he's an older man and that his voice is not going to be at its prime, and you understand that. I think just being in the atmosphere in the moment, you're going to have a great time. You're going to really be happy that you saw him at least once during your life, you know? So.
Yeah. And, you know, I could see a person, even a younger person, right, who's never seen Paul before, watching that show, maybe Saturday Night Live, I think, you know, it's so great that he's on. This is great. You know, what can I tell you? Or going to your first concert now, you know, maybe somehow you got into the Bowery Ballroom and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. How could, other than the fact, of course, that he's there up close with you, which is that itself is awesome.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
but I'm sure people see Paul, you know, in these new tours that he does, recent tours, and in the last 5 years or whatever, and said, "Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing." You know. So
we're seeing a living legend, and we have to be honest. I mean, we hope Paul can live well into his 90s, but It's physiology, folks. What are the chances? I mean, if we have Paul another 10 years, we're going to be very fortunate. Put it that way. So cherish every moment. Enjoy every opportunity to see him. I mean, if you don't want to, don't. But
and I do, and you do, and we do. Right. That's the thing. When people use that, they pull out that old card. They play that card, you know. Oh, cherish the man. What, you over there? How dare you say anything about his Saturday Night Live appearance? Do you realize one day he won't be here? Oh, what do you want me to tell you? I'm going to tell you it's either a good performance or a bad performance. I cherish that he's here.
Right.
I do. You know. Yeah. I was talking about House of Wax, and what a vocal on that. Listen to it. And he does it live. And you know what one of my favorite live albums is? The Amoeba album.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. Yeah, I love that album.
Notice, folks, I didn't say, Wings Over America is my favorite live album. You know, I didn't say Trippin' Alive Fantastic. I said all the way in 2007. Right now, one of my maybe the favorite live album is a 65-year-old Paul doing the Amoeba gig.
Yeah.
Listen to that. House of Wax especially.
And his voice obviously sounds different on that than it does on Wings Over America. But you know what? I still love that album. I still love the Amoeba gig album. I think he kills it on that album.
Yep. And there's another thing too. Like I wonder what Tony Bennett's secret. Somebody said earlier, what do you want? He's 80 something. Look, Tom Jones. It doesn't always work like that. There are guys that their voice could be gone at 45, or 50. There's people that could still sing well into the late 80s. I mean, Tom Jones comes to mind, and Tony Bennett, I think, and some others.
I guess the bottom line is, folks, is that, I think most of us are all on the same page. We love and respect Paul and appreciate what he's doing at this stage in his life. And we're going to continue to support him and be fans of his. But, if he gives a performance that we think is a little bit subpar, vocal wise, not everything else, but just the vocal is a little weak. It's not that we're making fun of him. It's not that we're putting him down or dissing him or anything. We're just offering our opinion about it. And then someone mentioned it earlier, and I think we may have mentioned this too. Maybe it's a little bit of we're just feeling a little sorry for ourselves that we're seeing our life flash before our eyes. We're all getting older, and so when we see our heroes aging out, and many of them have left us, sadly. It's a
I don't think for me. I don't think I'm feeling that with the performance, but yeah, it could. It might have. I don't think I'm feeling that. I just think I see him getting older. I'm not that old, but
I think every time I see Paul have that moment like he did on Saturday Night Live, where his voice just isn't what I would wish and hope it could be, it just makes me feel, geez, where's the time going? Where's the time going? Why does life have to go this by so fast? Where it seems like yesterday he was, the Paul we know and love vocally, and now here we are, where we're dealing with these issues with our heroes. It's
and he might be, who knows? A year from now, he might do another television special and sound much better.
I hope so. I hope I hope so. I hope you're right.
And the people always say, "Oh, he should take it down a key or two. Take it down," and he doesn't want to do it. I don't know if it's ego or pride or what it is, but he doesn't seem to want to do that. Andy made a good point that when he's playing in a huge arena, the weakness in his voice is sometimes hidden. Yeah, well, that's what we're saying. I guess. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, he is standing there.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, he's listening to me. He's watching me.
Maybe he can make better choices. While I think that the medley, the Golden Slumbers bit was perfect for the show, the theme and everything, it might have been, if he would have got out there and just played Get Back or I Saw Her Standing There, I bet you he would have sounded better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you might be right, But,
if you want, and by the way, I can carry on if you want to.
I think I'm going to head out only because I want to get to bed by 9 so I can get up at 4:30. I can't wait.
Yeah.
But
okay, all right. Well, thanks.
I appreciate you having me. I really do, and thank you to everybody who watched tonight. I hope I hope I made some sense. Love the guy.
Yeah, we tried, both of us.
Yeah, I love him.
So much stuff.
I'm not putting him down. I'm a fan, folks. I'm a fan. I just wish,
That's one thing we didn't cover though. So there has been people who say, "Oh, if you didn't like this, if you think like that show, you're not a fan." I mean, like let's not even go there.
Yeah, I don't even want to touch that because I don't think I need to wear my fandom badge all the time.
Right. There's fans and then there's sycophants.
Right.
Yeah. You gotta be fair about it.
I'm behind him, folks. I'm behind him, but
I agree with this too. He seemed tired. I was saying that on the Saturday Night Live stage.
Yeah, Michael Nolan mentioned that about the guitar playing in his video.
It wasn't that big a stage where he couldn't really get. But I remember saying, "Wow," I said he was so poor on the piano, singing at the piano. I hope he gets up and kind of redeems the performance with a good guitar. Maybe he can like wail away on the guitar, and that looked kind of tired to me too. And there wasn't much room to get animated.
Yeah,
but he just didn't look into it to me at all. I don't know why.
Well,
you on forever. But
I feel like I'm leaving on a downer here, but folks, it's all good. It's all good. I love Paul.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So, Matt, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm keep rolling here.
Please do. And I want to say I appreciate you inviting me. And whenever I can do things like this with you, I'm more than happy to. So, thanks everybody, and thank you to everybody who was here tonight watching me and listening to my blabbering on. I appreciate it. I don't get to do this that often.
All right, anytime.
Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, so I'm just going to be here for a while. If you still want to chat a little bit, we'll see the numbers drop. I know everybody's here for Matt. I know. But anyway, I'm just kidding. Yeah. And, if anybody's out there who's one of my, Beatle buds, you know what I mean? You want to come up here, just let me know. Maybe I could send you a link or something, and maybe we can get on here. If you want. I don't know who's out there. I hope so. I just wonder, if I got everything out, Oh, really? That's good. Rack my brain, dun, 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 dun. Rack my brain, dun, 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 dun. Till my head's filled with pain. Rack my brain. See, the beautiful thing about it is I love Ringo. I love that song, and I don't have to be a great singer. I could just, I could sing like Ringo. So, Beatley Tone is still here. He's welcome, but I don't know. I hope maybe he's watching. So there you go. Do I think Gontrapo's underrated today? Right now? No, I don't think it's underrated. I think Gontrapo is one of George's weakest albums. But I did a show on Gontrapo on Talk More Talk. Please subscribe. Go over to Talk More Talk. It's a solo Beatles video cast. Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast. It's right here on YouTube. And we did a show talking about Gontrapo and reevaluating it. And at the time, when I reevaluated it, I thought it was a lot better than I used to. I think it's better than I used to think when it came out in 1982. But it's still one of my lesser George Harrison albums. Something's got to come. Oh, okay. Tim Allen wants to come up. Okay, Tim. Let's do it. First I got to figure how to do it. Hold on. All right, let's see if I can figure this out right now, because there's some songs I like off Gontrapo. You know what I mean? I love Dream Away. I love That's the Way It Goes. Those are two of them that pop in my mind. So yeah, and by the way, yes, today is Yoko's birthday. Happy 92nd birthday. Today's February 18th. 92 years old, Yoko is. Sorry, Pumpkinhead. I don't know what's up with that. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I got to say one thing. I did see a clip of Cher singing at the what was it? The show for the Saturday Night Live people, and she looked and sounded great. Cher on her performance of doing. Was it If I Could Turn Back Time? Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. But as I say, again, just to recap, when I first saw the Saturday Night Live appearance, I thought it was really cringe, really sad, really awful. And I still think it's a poor performance. I do. But now I'm kind of like saying to myself, it is what it is. And I'm basking in the idea that Paul was there. He was live. The people in the audience seem to be eating it up, in the presence of the man. And I just go along with the flow. Now I'm going with the flow, so it's still not a good performance, but I'm glad he was there and I'm glad he did it. Let's see. I was gifted a copy of Ringo's new album on CD. I really like it. The song suited his vocals. I love Ringo's new album. Look Up. The album Look Up is fantastic. Ringo sounds great. The musicians are great. The singers, people sing with him, are great. Songs are good. I felt bad for Paul on his vocals, but was still glad that he was on the show. I just wish that he had been on it earlier because he might have sounded a little better. Yeah, concentrate on songs that suit his vocal range. I got to say, Golden Slumbers and that kind of thing didn't seem at this point to be something he could handle as well, but, he did it. Okay, we got Tim Allen here to join us. So Tim's coming up. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Joe. Hello, everyone.
All right. So you did finally, well, at some point, you did hear the performance of Saturday.
Later that night, it showed up a couple hours after it was on. Officially, SNL put it out. So I saw it that night, just a little later.
And your general assessment of it?
By what you said, I was expecting much worse, to be honest.
That's what happens.
I thought it was fine. It wasn't great. Was it great? No. And yeah, his guitar playing was lethargic and, but I mean, it's no excuse, but he's 82 years old.
There we go. We just covered all this.
Amazing 82 years old. I'm sorry. They're just not. I think for who he is and what he's doing, he's fine. I know that, but you can't expect him to go out and be 30 again.
But he does. I don't want to repeat everything we said for the first hour, or what is it, hour and 20 minutes. But as I said, when people say that the one thing they always say is, "But he's 82." There's other people that are that old and are okay, or older, or Willie Nelson, or whoever.
I don't think he was that bad. I'm saying it in that I think he was pretty good for 82. To be honest, I don't.
Well, I've seen him. I'm trying to say I've seen him better in his 80s. He's had a bad. I mean, can anybody say he was? You say that? Nobody. I don't know. It's a matter. People think it's a subjective opinion, so fine. People thought he sounded good, fine.
His voice has just gotten weak. There's nothing. People say he's not singing the right song. Your voice gets weaker, and as it gets weaker, you can't get breath. It doesn't really matter what song you're singing.
Yeah, but other times he can.
Well, I'm sure there are days when it's better than others, and I'm not. I'm just saying I think it was fine.
Okay.
Well,
as I told you, I shouldn't really argue the point more because I just got done, as I was saying before the show, 4 hours before the show, I watched it again and it hit me better. I'm like, I think I got it out of my system, and then I just kind of like took it for what it was, and I'm glad he did it, kind of thing.
It is what it is, and you're talking about the band and Abe especially covering him. They cover him through most of the show these days, and I think that's fine. It makes for a better show. But every time you look at Abe, you can't see it on television because they're not showing Abe very much. But Abe is almost always singing. He's got the mic right there while he's drumming, and he's almost always singing. And I don't have a problem with that.
He does. Yeah, that's what you got to do. I get it.
Other artists do it with backup vocals. I mean, the Stones have been touring with backup vocals for at least 20 years. And Mick sounds great. And I think that's partly because there's background singers singing with them. It's just what you do. At least they're playing live.
I don't think, as much as I love this song Every Night, and he did do Every Night, I think he did Every Night at least 2 of the 3 shows at the Bowery, Tuesday and Wednesday at least. I think that I love that song, but I don't think that would have been a good choice for Saturday Night Live. I don't think enough people. No, they want Beatles. They want Beatles.
Yeah.
To change the lyrics to When I Was 64. Yeah, could be.
I'm glad he doesn't do that live because that would just be ridiculous. And on the Sgt. Pepper album, they actually sped his vocals up a little bit to sound younger. So doing it live now just wouldn't work very well.
I honestly don't think that I would see Paul Simon. Here's the thing: I love Simon and Garfunkel, and I like Paul Simon's solo career up to like Graceland. Maybe I kind of like him in the 70s. But anyway, the point is, I missed the concert, the Central Park concert. I missed that concert in 1981. I tried to go there. I actually went with my sister, God rest her soul, my younger sister who passed. We actually went and we got to Central Park and we couldn't find the stage. And so we went home. I was like 19 at the time. She was like 17. But anyhow, but I did get to see Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel. I think it was 2004, whenever they did their other 2003 or 4 when they did it another time, and I was disappointed. I loved 1981, the concert for Central Park. I love watching that, listening to that. But I was disappointed with the early 2000s one. And I think Paul Simon, he's also got some issues. He's older and he's having hard times. And he's lost a lot of his hearing. I don't know if it's a lot.
He's older than Paul,
Yeah. No argument there. No argument there. Yeah, that's the thing, like Matthew Street was saying, I've said before, I'm not going to go. I'm done. I had enough, And then I go to see Paul and I have a great time. I saw him in 2016. I saw him in 2017. And the last time I saw him was 2022. And I had a great time. Did I notice the problems here and there? Yes. Did I have a good time? Hell yeah. So I get it. I really get the whole idea, that sometimes it's just, being in the moment and being with him. And it's him.
That's part of live. It's better than going and seeing one of these modern acts that's, if they're not miming, they're at least singing along to a backing track, and every performance is exactly the same, and it's the same as the record. And why go? I don't get it. I'd much rather see somebody out there struggling, trying to do their best, than just going out there and going through the motions, pretending that they're playing live, which is what we get mostly these days. So kudos to those people that still do it.
Oh, I'm looking at some of these comments. I'm trying to go back. There's lots of things I missed. Oh, hello to everybody I missed. Hello, everybody I missed.
And as far as Frankie Valli goes, he's not always miming. His mic is live, and sometimes he is singing along. I've seen that too, and that's not great either. He is trying. Sometimes he's actually singing along.
Well, wait a minute. What do you expect? He's 90.
Well, no, but there comes a
Stay
time
home. That's why.
when you know, and everybody else knows you can't do it anymore to hang it up. I think Paul can still do it to at least some extent.
Well, that's what I'd say. Sometimes, it really is. It's a matter of good and bad. Sometimes
if you have to mime and use a backing track, then it's time to quit. But if you don't, I mean, somebody was talking about Dylan in the chat. I mean, Dylan lost his voice, 30 years ago, and he's still going, and I'm glad he's still going.
Well, he never had a voice. By the way, I say that as a Dylan fan, by the way. Somebody said that. Somebody was trying to counter my video of Paul by saying, how come nobody says anything about Bob Dylan? That guy can't sing. He sounds like crap, especially these days. And the guy says he doesn't care about the audience, he feels like he doesn't even want to be there. He looks like he doesn't even want to be there. And you're picking on Paul? I'm like, yeah, well, Paul once had all that. He sounded a lot better, Paul, and he was always present. He was always friendly, not like Dylan. Even, I've seen Dylan, not personally, but when he was younger, I've seen films of Dylan, and he's great, and I'm a big Dylan fan, believe it or not. But having said that, he never seemed like the most charming person on stage.
He's born a cranky old man. He didn't. You watch his shows from like '66 and whatever, and he's not engaging with the audience. He's not talking to the audience. He's just doing a song, and then he does another song, and then
that's a shtick. I know that's a style. And this is very interesting. Marcus says there's two massive things that's going against a Paul McCartney concert for me. Number one, his voice, and number two, singing the same stuff over and over again. Those alone make me not interested in seeing him. Don't forget number three. He has the same chitter-chatter between songs and the same stories and the same memories in between. But here's my take on that. I know what you mean, Marcus. I say the same thing, but you know what? Depending on how many years apart they are, I always say, if I see Paul in concert every 3 years, every 4, whatever it is, every 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, I'll take it the same thing once every 3 years, one night. You know what I mean? It's better than whatever else is going on.
And in my opinion, it's not for, if you've seen Paul a dozen times, it's not for you. It's for the people that haven't seen him. And his act is based on that. His act is based on people that haven't seen his act a dozen times, and that's in my opinion.
Well, yes, of course, Paul's still selling out, packing in. Like I say, there's a lot to be said in that, Charlie, what you're saying. I get it. He's still, as people have told me many times in the last day or two, he's Paul freaking McCartney. It's still Paul McCartney, and it's amazing. And I really believe that. All I did, when I made my video about Saturday Night Live, my reaction is I'm just trying to be honest from a critical standpoint. Would I go see him again? Probably. If I would have been able to get into the ballroom, would I have gone? Yes, I would have. Sure, no problem there.
And I think part of Paul's doing this is his band. And I don't know if people realize this. He's going on being with this band
20-something years.
Close to 3 times longer than he was with the Beatles as far as recording goes. I mean, he's been with these guys a long time. It's a good band.
I gotta go along with you there. Hey, look, nothing against her. She's a wonderful woman. But I just want to say, I sometimes, it would get boring. That would get boring for me. But hey, it doesn't matter what you think, what I think. It only matters what she thinks, what she has fun with. She likes it. But for me, no, I wouldn't want to see the same show all around the world over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, once every 2-3 years in my neighborhood. Yeah.
You know, I saw Elvis Costello twice on the same tour, and this first time was the best show I've ever seen, bar none, by anybody. And the second time I thought was one of the worst. Same tour, same. It's A, I'd seen the show before. B, the place wasn't a quarter as good as the first. You know, just everything worked the first time and it didn't work the second time, and that just happens. And you know, once the tour is enough, I think, for anybody.
That's right. Joan Borelli has seen 101 McCartney concerts now. And the one she got into, it was a great story. You know, she got it. She managed to get in there to the Bowery Ballroom for show 2, night 2. Now's a good time for comments. There's so many old comments that I never got to. Some of these people might not even be here anymore, present. I'll look around. I think I don't really like Springsteen. I like I might like 7 or 8 songs of his, maybe 10. But anyway, from what I've heard, he doesn't sound as good as he was either. But you know, again, I know it's part of it. You know, I get that. He's
in his 70s, and I don't like him because he's made everything. He's made his show political, and I don't do that. So that's my big thing. But I think he's singing better now than he was in the 90s when he decided he was going to sound like Dylan for 5 years, and he spent 5 years doing a Dylan impersonation. I'd rather hear him now than that. That was awful.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to repeat for those who don't know, I have another show called Talk More Talk, and we had Tom Frangione, who's on Sirius XM Beatles channel. He's got a couple of shows on there, and he joined us, me and the panel on there, and he talked about his experience at the Bowery, seeing Paul on night 3, and he also talked about Saturday Night Live. We all did, you know. So go over there right now. Well, after this show's over, go over there. And worst voice, A. Harrison, the 1974 tour. McCartney today, Dylan every day.
Dylan every day, but not by much as far as George goes. That George 74 tour is awful. You
know, Billy Joel. I like Billy Joel. I do. He's still packing them in. And
he's lost a little weight, and that's helped. He's lost a little weight. He doesn't just sit behind the piano anymore. He gets up and moves around a little bit, and because he's older than people think he is too. He's got to be approaching 80 by now.
Well, I don't see how he's only a few years younger than Paul. I can't imagine that.
The first Hassels album came out in late 66 or 67. His first album. He's pretty old.
Somebody look it up. How old is Billy Joel? Let us know. Because I'm thinking he grew up with listening to Paul. I'm thinking, well,
he's at least 75.
I'd go for 75. I could see.
Yeah, well, like I said, he's going on 80. 75 is going on 80. You know, he's not young anymore.
Well, but 75. Oh, they're all saying 75. Look at that. Bingo.
Well, I guess then.
Look at that. 75. 75. 75. May 9th, 1949.
But yeah, he lost a little weight, and you know that's helped him out, and good for him. And he's, you know,
and you know it's crazy because I've always liked Billy Joel. I mean, I'm not a fanatic like I am with the Beatles or anything, but I've still never went to see him, even with him playing in New York City all the time.
Yeah, once a month for a bunch of years he played.
Yeah, the only time I saw him was in 2017 when I saw Paul McCartney at the Nassau Coliseum. And Billy Joel came on stage. You know, that's the only time that I've ever seen him.
I've seen him twice, and they were both actually both in my top 10 shows I've ever seen.
He's still very good.
He was but this was a long time ago. This was like 82 and maybe 84, 85, something like that. So,
yeah.
Still had hair. His last tour with hair.
That's the way you got. We and I love to laugh at those kinds of things. I always say that. We can laugh at bald people. Sorry.
But yeah, no, I saw him do something that I'd never
How
seen.
many freaking cigarettes do you smoke and other things do you smoke, for God's sake?
Yeah.
Clownfist.
I saw Billy Joel for the Nightline Curtain Tour. You know, they play music at the beginning of a show, you know, oldies or whatever, while they're setting up, and the curtain, you know. And so Chain Gang by Sam Cooke is on, right? And early on in Chain Gang, up comes somebody on the stage bopping around, and I'm like, that's Billy Joel. He's out while the music's still playing, gets up on top of his piano and starts dancing the Chain Gang and everything. And the second it was over, he's sitting at his piano, the from Allentown starts, and they just kicked into the show. No break. I mean, Chain Gang, it just was fading out, and they just started. I'm like, that was incredible. That was great.
Well, I've done that too. By the way, I went to 2 Paul McCartney shows in a row. I got a big. Hold on, somebody's. I got in December of '89. I went to 2 shows at the Garden. I think he did 4 shows. I went to 2, and then in 1990 at Giant Stadium, I saw him at 2 shows in 1990. That's the only time I went to like 2 shows. You got to remember too, folks. Although I'm still spry. I was only like, you know, like in my 27 then, you know, or something like that. So
and concerts were like $35 or $40 then. They weren't hundreds of dollars either. That makes a big difference. I would never go see Paul again just because of the cost.
Yeah, well, that, you know, now I love just going for the limo watch. Oh, she's 92. I hope I got that right. I'm pretty sure she's 92. She's born in 1933. Yeah, Elton John stopped touring. His voice is failing. Yeah.
He's got a new album out, which I'm sure is auto-tuned to death. But, you know, I don't hold it against him. I'm not interested in it, but I don't hold it against him. You know, good for you. Don't stop. You stop, you die. So don't stop. Well,
that's another thing. Like, let's use Ringo. Ringo Starr, God bless him. I mean, he's in great shape, and he puts on a great show. And he's going to be playing in New York in June, and I still haven't decided whether I'm going. If I'm going, it's going to be last minute. I'll get tickets somehow. But I've seen Ringo at least 9 to 10 times, 8, 9, 10, something like that. I got to count them. And yeah, what an inspiration he is. And he does it also. It's so great because, you know, in the 70s and 80s, early 80s, and mid 80s, he was drinking and abusing. And he got himself healthy in 1988. He started, you know, going sober. And then in 89, he went on tour and never looked back. And I'm sure that's part of his, like, what keeps him motivated and straight. And, you know, it's a good therapy thing. It's good. You know.
Yeah. I've never seen Ringo.
Really?
I only had the opportunity once, really. And I hated that stupid ponytail on the top of his head so much that I refused to go see him. Just
that was the worst look he ever had, man.
Stupid ponytail. And I mean, I regret it, but that's the only time he ever came anywhere near me where I was living at the time.
Let me see here. Hold on. I have to respond to somebody. Until somebody's asking me if I'm home. If I get home in time, can I join you? And you'll find out who that is if he gets here.
Okay.
So, wait a minute. I just want to make sure. There'll be a surprise guest if Lou's still hanging around. Wait a minute, maybe it's not a good idea to have this guy on. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't even know. Not as much as a Paul show, but you know, I never even think about it. I'll be honest with you. I'm not, and again, I'm not Rockefeller. I'm not rich. I'm on a pension. But I've always said, how often do you go see somebody? If you see a McCartney show once in a lifetime, or once in 7 or 8 years, you could save that money up. Anybody, not you, anybody. I'm saying I don't know if it's a matter of principle. Like even if you say, "Wow, ticket, I had to pay $200 for a seat," I'm not going to pay that kind of money, even if you saved it for 16 years. To me, I've always been able to get decent seats. So I've had some experiences I won't go into. Tim, the concert ticket prices are almost. See, I've never, ever spent $1,000. I wouldn't. I don't know how much is the most I've ever spent on a concert. $250.
I don't think I've ever spent 40, to be honest.
Yeah, you see that? Well, that's but come on. That's so 1980.
No, in the 90s, in the early 2000s, you were I was still seeing shows for $35 or less.
Well, that's the rate these days. Like 150 for nosebleeds or whatever. You can get in the stadium for $150, $100 in some bad seat. High seats.
Most of the people I want to see wouldn't be playing stadiums anywhere. They're playing smaller clubs and stuff, and where it's not as expensive. And I have a better time at those anyway. I mean, being right up close and,
Yeah. I felt this, we didn't mention this when Matthew Street was here, but I've said that before. I would rather he stop performing live and I said this years ago, and save his voice for studio albums. Because the studio albums are what's going to live long after he is. I mean, great. Anybody who went to a concert, and I've been to 11 Paul concerts, we'll always remember them. We'll always treasure our memories. But at the end of the day, the records are what you have, or the recordings, I think. So, I mean, and as far as these seats we're talking about, talking about nosebleeds and stuff, I tell this story a lot. I won tickets in 1992, radio tickets. And first and last time I ever won tickets. And I got to see Paul McCartney in a show called Up Close, MTV at the Ed Sullivan Theater, 1992. I went into that place. As soon as I walked in, they got my ticket, and they were recording it. They were recording this. They took me and my girlfriend at the time, and they took us right to the front of the stage. We stood up by the stage. And there's a video circulating of Up Close, MTV Up Close. I'm in the video, but as I keep telling everybody, I'm not the tallest guy in the world. And I was wearing all black. I usually wear black, and I had longer hair that was dark. And I blend in with everybody. There's a few shots where if I pause it, I could say, see? You can see the side of my face or you see something. I was about 6-7 feet from Paul. Why am I saying this? I don't mind paying $100 to be in nosebleeds anymore. After that, I'm satisfied, So I'm okay. When you see Paul McCartney 6 feet away from you singing Penny Lane, at the mic, and you can see the fillings in his teeth.
Yeah.
It's hard to match that, even in a stadium.
I have the uncut video of that show. I mean, that was circulating a long time. And I loved the lady that kept coming out and putting makeup on him. And at one point, he's no more makeup.
Next time you watch it, you'll see an idiot in the audience that's wearing a black leather jacket.
Well, I know.
Not
I've seen you in it. I watched it.
Yeah, and I got a
once.
long like this, but this is a sweatshirt, a black sleeve, and
Yeah.
I've got my hand up. I'm going like this, like stupid stuff that we did. I'm 30 years old, and I also had like a black and white photo with me, and I'm waving it with a pen, with a Sharpie, thinking he might sign in between, like he said, makeup.
Yeah.
Or pausing to do stuff. I didn't, not when he's singing, but when
Yeah.
and it didn't work out.
And I like the fooling around that they did that didn't make the show too. Like, I mean, the acoustic version of "Can't Buy Me Love" I think should have made the show. I thought that was fantastic.
I watched it again. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We did Jingle Bells because it was Christmas time ish.
Well, that was so short, but yeah.
But I remember him doing Jingle Bells.
Now, when I saw him, that was December of '92. The album Off the Ground came out in February of '93.
Yeah.
So he was premiering songs that the album wasn't even out yet.
Yeah, no, he even mentions that in the broadcast version of the show.
Yeah.
Like, here's one you won't have heard yet unless you're psychic or something, because
unless you're clairvoyant or something.
Yeah,
whatever. And he said,
they went back and fixed the audio big time. If you listen to the actual show performance versus what aired, there's a huge difference.
Well, here's the thing: it was done on 2 days. December 10th and December 12th, I think. All I know is I was at December 10th. The reason it's easy for me to remember that is my best friend Mike, who passed away, was born on December 10th, so I went on his birthday, and that's the one that exists, the one that everybody sees. Luckily, But the show, which I haven't seen the regular aired show in a long time, but the show is a composite of both. I can tell by who's in the front.
But it's typical in television. They'll go back and fix up from some vocals and remix it.
Yeah.
And, that's it's not because Penny Lane. I remember Penny Lane on the show. Paul sounding impossibly good. I'm like, this is not. It sounded like the friggin' album. And then I listened to this other one, and I'm like, okay.
I thought he sounded pretty good on it. I mean,
it sounds good, but it doesn't sound that good. I mean,
the overall, the tape or whatever that was circulating. Now I've got it on a DVD, burned on a DVD. But it's not. I mean, it's professionally shot.
Yeah,
it's pro shot. But it's not going to sound like the way it's finished when it's a finished work.
Some tinkering was done. But
what I was saying was, okay, the only thing it was a great show, the greatest show I ever went to with McCartney. That was my opportunity to get up close, to be in an intimate, close setting, only a few feet from Paul. And the thing is, I love the album Off the Ground. I think it's an underrated album. So it doesn't bother me. But at the time, that's the only thing people criticized the show for up close in '92 is that there's too many songs from Off the Ground, which hadn't even come on yet. I mean, it was a lot of songs. Must be at least 7 songs from it. Yeah. And also Big Boys Bickering, which was not included on the album.
Yes.
It's a bonus track now.
Yeah, he did that. But I will say that I actually like Off the Ground live better than the album. I thought the album version was a little too twee, and the live version rocked more.
It does rock more, but I got to admit, I love the twee version.
I like.
I'm usually a studio. I've said this many times. People say, "Oh, I love Letting Go live better." Oh, I love all these songs. Like Lee, I love the studio versions personally. That's my thing. And there's only one song that I think I like better when I hear it live, and that's the song "Sing the Changes" off Electric Arguments. I like that live. And I remember he debuted a Hope of Deliverance there. First time he sang Hope of Deliverance. This is going to be the new single. And he sang it, and I swear I remember. I don't see it when I watch the show back. I don't see it. But I remember I was right there. You could hear you if he yelled something. And I said, "Number one," and I meant it. I said, "Number one, Paul, number one," because I really had a feeling it would sound like a good song, pop song. And I remember him going like, I hope so. Like, we'll see, kind of face. And I don't see that when I look at the thing, but and it wound up not being anywhere near number one because radio and everything sucked by then or whatever. But what was it? Number 80? I seem to think 84. That number is in my head. In America, anyway.
I don't know, but I think that's the last song by Paul I've ever heard on the radio as far as my local radio area goes. I did hear Hope of Deliverance a few times on the radio. Not very many, but I did hear it. I think
you're talking about unplugged, not up close.
No, I'm talking about up close.
Another thing that's funny is, there's MTV Unplugged, which is the big show. And then when Paul introduces Up Close, he goes, "Oh, we're here to do a show called Unplugged, MTV Unplugged." No, it's not called Unplugged.
Yeah.
Up Close.
Yeah.
I can still remember every word because, it's, what an experience that is. Now, this is, I personally don't agree with Flowers in the Dirt. No way. I think it's got too many dirge tracks. I call it Flowers in the Dirge. Although I can tell you the songs I love off the top of my head. Figure of Eight, this one, Put It There, Rough Ride. I like We Got Married now. I used to hate that when it first came out. I love We Got Married, but it's not much. The other songs don't knock me out, really.
Well, My Brave Face was good. I like the singles. And
My Brave Face.
Side one is way better than side two, in my opinion.
This is when John was shot. Did you go down to the Dakota? I know someone who did that night. Yeah. No, the thing with me was I was 18 years old, and I don't want to talk too much about it right now, but I was 18 years old. I was getting ready for bed. It was close to 11 o'clock. I had just graduated high school, went straight to a job, didn't go to college. And I'm sitting on the edge of the bed. My best friend, Mike, who's dead now, calls me up and tells me, John's been shot, and one thing led to another. Anyway, now I had this new job. I just started a job, and I was on a probation. I couldn't miss work. So I did not call in. I would have called in. And any other time later in my life, I probably would have called in. But I did not call in. And I wanted to go to the Dakota. I wanted to grieve with people. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to go. This is on a Monday. So I couldn't go Monday night. I didn't go Tuesday. I didn't go Wednesday. I didn't go Thursday. I didn't go Friday until Friday night. Friday, I got off the week work. And then I went. I thought, well, this is 5 days later. Are there going to be any mourners still hanging out there? There were. They were all week. So I went there. I didn't get there Friday night after the Monday. And I didn't, I went to the vigil on the 14th. I went to that big vigil that they had. So there you go. Where is my mystery guest? Because I got to get off here soon. I should be getting off around 9, really. I only got like 10 minutes. So, let's see. I also love the song Once Upon a Long Ago. I do like that. What do you think? Tim and I don't agree on much.
Yeah, it's one of my least favorites. I don't know. There's something about it I just don't like.
Hey, we both love Back to the Egg.
Yeah, I would take from around the same time. I think Only Love Remains. I would take that as a ballad over Once Upon a Long Ago. Easily, actually.
I don't know if I think of, I guess they're both ballads, yeah, but I don't think of Once Upon a Long Ago the same, like a love ballad, really.
No, but they're both ballads. I just something about it I don't like.
Well, a lot of things should have been a bigger hit. He should have had a hit with that. He should have had a hit with, in my opinion, The World Tonight, which I thought was a good single from Flaming Pie. That did nothing.
I thought Young Boy was even a better.
Yeah, that's another.
To be honest.
Okay, my guest is ready. I only got like a short amount of time. I'm going to put a public link out. So I'm just going to put a link up. And anybody want to take a guess at who my guest is? It's a Beatle guy. It's a Beatle guy. Let's see.
I'm not guessing.
Well, the problem with that is back then I didn't know how to go to New York City. I was too young. But in 1977, I was 15, and a bunch of us friends went there. I went there, and like we got there in Dakota, we were told, which is true, John was in Japan on vacation. So that's my only shot. And the only one other time when he was recording, I think it was September 21st, 1980. I think it was around September 21st of 80. My friend and I got this crazy idea to go to the Dakota at leave 11 o'clock, and we got there near 1 a.m. The Dakota. We stood there and looked up at the Dakota at 1 a.m. So that's it. And here's my guest. Here he is. You ready? What's going on, Andy?
Hi, Joe. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Andy.
So, let's get back to Paul talk. We've only got a relatively.
I know you only have a few minutes, so I know you had a 2-hour chat here with Mr. Street, and
you may be surprised at some of the things that I said. I don't know if you could hear any of it.
I didn't because I was out, but I'm just getting in. So why don't you recap it for me?
Well, I'd rather get new stuff because you can always watch some of it back. But generally, the idea was, even though I still stick to my guns about the performance on SNL,
yeah,
I wound up 4 hours before I went on. I don't know what hit me. I was like, let me watch it again. I've seen it maybe 5 or 6 times. And then I put it on, and I'm like, it's hitting me right in the sense that, yeah, okay, I get the whole thing we all feel at the best. When we say, it's Paul, it's a great event, it's a moment, we're focused in on him today. This
Sure.
is Paul with us in 2025. And I was like, in the moment, I'm like, I still thought, imperfect. But then I said to myself, it was an NBC clip, professional clip. And I said to myself, did they clean this up a little? Now, 2 people claimed in here that they did that.
I think they did. And we didn't say that in our channel. Like we knew that's his voice. It is what it is. It's aged. It's fine, but I accept it for what it is. I'm not going to say it's a horrible performance.
If it is, it is.
It's a beautiful performance.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a beautiful performance of an 82-year-old man.
Oh.
It's horrible. Hang it up. I'm sorry. You're all going to be sorry when he's gone.
Oh, come on, Andy. All the stuff you're saying, we covered. And I wish Matt was still here. He had to go early. The bottom line is that, like I said, you got to call it the way it is. People don't want to do that. I went through all this. I feel like to recap this all.
I'm just giving you, because Tom and I on Two Legs took a very decisive pro-Paul stance with this, and a lot of people did not. So that's it. That's how we feel.
This is no good because you missed most of what we said. I tried to be fair.
I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't debunk it all now.
It's fine. I just wanted to come on and just.
But I mean, there's people that are like that, fans, that they will not say he sounded awful. If he does, he did.
Awful and Paul McCartney are words that don't go together.
That's not true. Did you just say you didn't like All You Horse Riders once?
Oh, darling! A year ago, I disagree.
Oh, darling was terrible.
Darling wasn't good. But I'm
Lady
saying
Madonna was terrible.
That was not good. But people say we're sycophants. We criticize Paul plenty.
So do I.
Right, but you're just a Paul podcast and everything is great, 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 and sunshine and rainbows. No, we criticize him plenty. But you got to watch.
Well, that's what I thought. But in your case, I'm so happy that you got to see night 2 at the Bowery. I personally think, and you have every right to this, and I think it's great. I think you're still kind of awestruck by that. Well, it's still with you. That's why when you saw Saturday Night Live, you still were in the moment, I think.
Fair. That's a fair statement.
And God bless you for it. I mean, it's a great experience.
I think it's a fair statement. I also think a lot of people were obviously caught up in the Bowery stuff, and a lot of people were majorly jealous that they couldn't go and pissed off. I get it. keep doing the effects on Paul's voice. It works. I just enjoy the man for what it is. Why do we have to tar and feather a man at 82?
Stop! Come on.
It's what they've been doing for 2 days.
Come on. First of all, not everybody has, and there's other people that they just will not criticize him. They wouldn't even say Broad Street's not a good movie. I've seen this, and I'm tired of that. You could still be a fan, not lose your Paul McCartney membership card or Beatles membership card by saying, I love this show. Like I say, I thought he was fantastic in Glastonbury. He was 80 then. That's only 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember thinking at the time, if he's going to stop ever, this would be a great way to stop. I thought it was that good. And, I saw in the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Live, I think that was that was worse. That was, maybe I'm amazed if 10 years ago on Saturday Night Live was worse than this. So I call it as I see it. I'll hear it,
And so do we.
All right. So you liked it, but you speak, I don't know, in facts, and
you call it like you see it. Yeah, you call it like you see it. I call it like I see it. And that's what makes the world go round there, babe.
Tough Andy. We get New York and New Jersey is. That's what we are. We call it like it is.
That's right.
We call it as it is, as we see it or hear it in this case. And like I said, it's interesting that now they're saying it. When did they sweeten this thing a little bit? The clip?
Probably
From
today.
The beginning when it was first on?
No. It was up. It was up within 2 or 3 hours after the show. So if they sweetened it, they did it very quickly.
Yeah,
because before I went to bed Saturday night, I saw it on YouTube.
The cleaned up
posted
one.
by them.
All right.
So if they sweetened it, and they probably, I'm not saying they didn't, but they only spent an hour or two on it at most.
Yes, and Joe.
Oh, no wonder I thought it was better now, 4 hours before
that
the
way
show.
around. Joe, I think
not because it was good.
I'll give you credit. You know what? If I hadn't had that Bowery experience, am I still on this little natural high still? Probably not. But of course I had that, so that's going to make me look at it a little differently. I'll be honest with that. And I will say, yes, that's definitely galvanized my opinion because we woke up and, oh my God, he's at the Bowery, and I got lucky enough to go. So yes, I'm being honest. Did that sway my opinions? I'm sure it did a little bit, but I'm not going to sway from them.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? Because we talked about it the whole show, but the idea is there's many times where I fall into that thing where, and rightly so, look, this is Paul freaking McCartney. To be in his presence, to be in a stadium or intimate club or something like that is a privilege, and it's fantastic. That carries it enough. Yeah. I've been in stadiums where he wasn't as good as the last time, but yet I love it. I'm experienced. I'm invested, and I'm a fan. So I get it, But I guess I'm trying to be like, because we got the channel, I was trying to be, critical if necessary,
sure.
for what I first thought, my first impression. The last time I watched it, let's say a few hours before, I got that feeling I just described again. I don't know why. I said, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And, I feel I described earlier that, I remember being, I'm going to say 4 years old and having We Can Work It Out on a 45 with the picture sleeve and some other 45s. And I grew up with Paul in that regard. I mean, I'm not saying I'm this big firstie, but I kind of grew up with him my whole life. And then I remember Hey Jude when it was new, and I could name all the albums, Uncle Albert and London Town and all the way through. And I'm saying, sometimes I'm in that mode, Andy, where I'm like, this is just part of the journey. You take this journey from your whole life, and now you either take it with him and accept this is him now and go with it, or you don't, I guess. And at times I do, and I guess at times I don't, but I get it. I get it.
Somebody asked you how much it cost to go. The tickets were $50.
Oh, $50. Yeah, that's not bad,
No,
I mean, I would have paid a hell of a lot
I just
more.
heard Tim Allen when I was hopping on saying how he only pays $40 for tickets.
Well, I haven't gone to a show in a
$40.
long time. That's the last show I went to was Well, it was the night Tom Petty died, and that show I think was $35 or $40, and it was Tommy Stinson, one of the replacements. That's the last show I've been to. I've never paid more than 40, but before that, it'd been years.
I don't know how much I would have.
I've only see shows in small clubs too, which are way cheaper than if you go to a stadium. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much I would have. I'm not, now I'm retired and everything. I don't have as much expendable cash like I used to. But I mean, I might have gone if I had to pay to get into it. So you can go in, you can go, but this is how much you got to pay to go to the ballroom. I might have said 300. I don't know, maybe more. I don't know. How much do you think, Andy? Seriously, would you have a limit on how much you would have paid if you had to pay more? You did pay 50. But if you had to pay more to get that experience, I guess you can't put a price on it, right?
Knowing that my spot in line was guaranteed, if the price was whatever, would I still pay it?
That's the thing. You don't really know necessarily know what you knew now.
The answer is I would have paid if I was ninth in line on Tuesday
Well, if you didn't, say you didn't know what it was going to be like. You didn't know nothing. You didn't know what it was going to be like inside yet. And you weren't online. If somebody just said, you can just buy the ticket. You can get a ticket. You don't know where you're going to be. You don't know what the inside's like. You don't know what he's going to perform. You don't know he's going to be singing "Flaming Pie" to you.
Yeah. I would spend as much as I felt that I could. I wouldn't put a number on it.
There you go. You go.
I would. I'd say if they were $500 or $800, and it's this small, intimate venue, sure, I'm here. Life is short. Buy the tickets.
Well, I go along with that. Life is short. Well, I have to go, fellas. Unfortunately, the time with you here is short because
that's okay.
Sorry you came on late.
No, it's all right. Thank you for having me on just for a couple minutes.
Thank you for popping on, and thank you, Tim, for popping on, and thank you, Matthew Street, who was here for, I think, about 75 minutes. Thanks for joining me. This has been an episode of FaB GaB, everybody. And like I said, we're all McCartney fans here, big fans, trust me on that. And I don't know what to say, everybody. Keep on supporting Paul. Keep on seeing the shows. If he comes around again, I'm probably going to go. So that's the best way to end. I'll go, so talk soon, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.